44 years ago in Toulon, France, they did the world premiere of the all-new G-Wagon. Yep, it's been 44 years and here we are today with the 2023 G63. Now you'd like to know that over 100 hours is spent in building a G-Wagon, assembling about 3,200 parts. This one has a price of $242,000 Canadian. It's very expensive. It's almost the most expensive car we've ever had on the channel. That was given to the Maybach. So the G-Wagon is built in Austria and they have three variants. You get the G550, the G63, and the G63 4x4. And if you're wondering what they start at, well, the G550 starts at 180,000 Canadian or 139.9 US. The G63 in Canada is 242,000. In the US, it's 179K. And well, the price for the 4x4 is so expensive that you gotta look it up yourself. All right, so I'm in the G-Wagon. Now, if you opted for the G550, you would get 416 horsepower and 450 pound-feet of torque out of a V8 that is twin-turboed. But this is that exact same engine, except it is hand-built. So it is a twin-turbo V8. Ooh, it sounds heavenly. This, though, makes 577 horsepower and 627 pound-feet of torque. It is mated to a 9-speed transmission. I will put this thing in Sport Plus. It doesn't have launch control, but I will have my foot on the brake, foot on the gas, build up and go. So what do we got? What? 4.13. It's quick. I expect it to be quick with 577 horsepower, a little bit laggy off the line like a hair. But as soon as it grips, goes, it flies. One more time. Go. See, just a little bit slow off the line. I like those shifts. Crazy. 4.17. So, okay, so low fours. Now, before we continue on in this video, let's have a quick chat. Get over here. So let's talk. Affordability has been a big thing on our channel. People comment about it all the time. So bringing a G-Wagon on the channel is probably not the smartest thing to do, saying, hey, this is affordable, because it's definitely not. But there's one affordable portion of the G-Wagon that they left in and took it away from being luxury. You see, car thefts are a big deal. We've had this car for a week now and not once have we parked it on the street. It's always been parked either in our studio or in a locked garage because car thefts are a huge problem. But not with the G-Wagon. You see, the G-Wagon doesn't have perimeter key. Yep, you heard me right. The key actually sends no signal outward to open the doors. So let me show you. Now, all perimeter keys have this ability to shoot out the signal into the world, letting the vehicle know to unlock. So I walk up to most vehicles, I touch the handle and pull, and the vehicle will unlock, but not the G-Wagon. You see, the key is right here, and I push this button down to get in the vehicle and nothing happens. Same with the back doors. Nothing happens. How about the trunk? I can keep walking and I can pull this and nothing happens. The only way to unlock the G-Wagon is by hitting the unlock button on the key, and then that's what you get. And then I can get inside the vehicle very easily, which is how older generation cars used to work. And maybe that is the appeal of why people want the G-Wagon, because it represents something from the past, but it brings it to the future today in an example of a key. G-Wagon, 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 G63, all black everything in this very expensive paint job in matte black, Mercedes logo, dope. Big black Mercedes logo right there. All black everything. Then you have this big bumper. It is not steel, it is plastic. Yep, plastic all the way around. You do have some grille vents there. Cool. Where are the signals? Up here. These lights, ultra iconic. Very iconic. This windshield is a complete brick. Take a look at its design. It's almost 90 degrees. So how good is it on the highway? It's good. But then how quiet is it on the highway? It's not quiet at all. Now this is a $300,000 Canadian vehicle made by Mercedes-Benz, so you'd expect it to be super quiet inside. It does have acoustic glass, so it is a little bit quieter, but just the sheer shape and design of this just cannot beat the wind. So why do people buy the G-Wagon? For the 15th time, it's all about status. That's it. Because if this had the best four-wheel drive system on the planet, it would cost a lot less than what it does. You can really tell the front from the back when you buy a G-Wagon. Long front, really squared off back and squared off design, which is why people love these. This is the definition, or this is the halo vehicle of square body. Everybody wants to be like the G-Wagon when it comes to design of this boxy style. That's why you have some brands that have been pushing to actually emulate what the G-Wagon is. Now, wheels. On the G550, you get 19s or 20s. When you buy the G63, you get 20s, 21s, or 22s, depending on the model or choices of wheels that you pick. Now, along with these big red brake calipers, take a look at this exhaust. Look at that. Mandrel bent super clean and smooth right off the header all the way to the side. Boom, on both sides, not just on one side. This V8 is monstrous. It sounds so crisp, throaty, and deep. It has a 2-speed transfer case as well as 3 differentials that you have to set in consecutive sequence to activate. This is just not a pretty face. This thing actually does very well in the dirt, on the gravel, and anything off-road that you throw it at. Moving down from the windshield, you have the AMG logo. It's V8 bi-turbo, of course. You have these mirrors that are modern. Look at that. You have a 360 camera, an LED indicator, and then more of these moldings on the side. And that's just a style of the G-Wagon, these moldings. Then of course we talked about the handles. These are unchanged from its original concept. Nothing's changed here. You do have these side steps to get in. Of course you have to be careful of these exhausts because they will be very, very hot. You get tinted glass. Of course it is shaped like a box. You have great visibility inside and outside. That's one thing I will say driving this. It is amazing when it comes to visibility. Moving down from there, of course, you continue up these big fender flares in the front as well as the back. Do you think this takes regular gas? Well, I don't even have to look because the answer is a hell no. Now, if you're new to our channel, please go ahead and smash that subscribe button if you'd like us to do vehicles that are a little bit more affordable. Now, on either side of the vehicle, at the top here where the quarter is, you have these little vents. Now, these vents are to release the air pressure inside the cabin. So if we start at the top here, you have your third brake light, a very flat tinted window, along with a wiper hiding right behind this monster spare tire/rim. Don't you love this casing? Look how quality this looks. This casing should cost like $5K at least because it's beautiful. Behind it, or the rim itself, is an actual rim. It's not some weak donut. It looks beautiful. It's gloss black and you can kind of see it when you stick your head all the way in this corner. Now moving down from there, you do have the G63, and of course this does tow. The answer is 7,000 pounds. That's what you can tow. Now, if you're curious to know why the spare tire is right there, well, for starters, it's been like that forever with the G-Wagon. But the real answer is because it helps with departure angles. You see, if this was underneath, it would reduce the ground clearance you have, and that's why it's on the back here. Front seat of the G-Wagon. You see how you get in? You have to come from here, you gotta hold the side of the steering wheel, put your foot in, and pull yourself in. This is where I'm standing. It ain't exactly a vehicle you can just jump into or slide into. You have to pull yourself up and over. Solid. This is the key. This is why people buy it. Listen. It's old school and solid. It also feels like a Jeep Wrangler, except way better quality. Now, let's start off with this door panel. You do have all your mirror switches up here, as well as folding your mirrors in. You have massage, heated and cooled 3 increments. Of course, you have to adjust all your seats on the door panel in typical Mercedes-Benz fashion. I do have 3 increments or 3 choices of memory seat. And then you have the 15 speaker Burmeister sound system with these cool aluminum sort of grills. There is 64 different ambient light colors you can pick from. Right now it's in purple. There is some ambient on the door, and then of course on the dash, on the lower piece of the dashboard, and right underneath these dual 12.3 inch screens. Now, Mercedes-Benz is still using the old command system here. It's pretty straightforward, but it doesn't sort of, you know, go neck and neck or head to head with the current Mercedes-Benz MBUX system. And you can tell that by the steering wheel. This steering wheel is the old Mercedes-Benz AMG steering wheel. It's cool and all, great to touch, great to feel, but it's not like the one that they have nowadays, which is more haptic. And to be honest, I prefer this one over the new one, only because these are hard buttons. You have these knobbies that go up and down, and you have the rotary sliders for your volume, and I like all that stuff. And they have these big paddle shifters. So yes, this is an older steering wheel, but I do like this steering wheel more than the new one. Again, the touchies are great, but I like physical buttons, and this is where this wins. If you're wondering where to shift gears, it is not done in the center console. This is for the infotainment. It's done up here. This is where park, reverse, neutral, and drive is. And on this side, you have your stalk for your wiper controls. Underneath that, you have a small, tiny stalk, and that's to adjust your steering wheel up, down, toward you, and into the dash. You also have your heated steering wheel button right there. And in front of me, I don't have heads-up display. I have dual 12.3 inch screens. They are not touchscreen. Again, all controlled down here.
You just like touch the screens.
Yeah, they don't do anything. They don't touchscreen.
Oh, it's not touchscreen?
No, that's what I said.
What?
Yeah. Now, from there's this trim they've used that has a pretty weird design. I thought it was carbon fiber when I first saw it, but it's actually little tiny stitching of steel. And I think it's just too close to carbon fiber in my opinion. I wish they kind of didn't do that, especially right here on this like handlebar. This handle is iconic. They've had this all the time with all G-Wagons in the past, so yes, it makes sense. But this piece on top just looks really kind of cheap, in my opinion. Then you have your start and stop button and brushed aluminum trim that surrounds your 3 differential buttons as well as your 2 vents. Now these differential buttons have to be hit in sequence. It says 1, 2, 3 right on them. Moving down from there, you have the HVAC controls, pretty straightforward, left and right, dual climate control. And then you have the IWC watch. That looks money. Then you have your Navi, radio, media, telephone, car information, and then your hazard lights. And then this center console has plastic trim. I kid you not, plastic. At least use the same trim you have up here. Now I know that'll get dented, and that's probably why you put this, but hello, this is a G-Wagon. I did not expect this whatsoever. And then when I slide this tray backwards, I have more of this fake looking carbon fiber that's not fake carbon fiber, but it appears that way. Then I have a spot to put the key in, 2 cup holders that are not heated or cooled. Come on, Mercedes-Benz. And then again, here you have your adjustment for your different drive modes, which is pretty amazing. When I pull this back, I have slippery, individual, comfort, sport, and sport plus. Then I have my volume controls on the right. I do love the way the volume is done in the G-Wagon. Then you have your different settings you can pick from a suspension perspective and exhaust perspective, your 360 camera, stability program. And then on the top here is where I control everything with my infotainment. So I can go left and right with my fingers, up or down, skip a track, go back, or hit this home button. And then I have one extra button right here, and that's low range, because this you can hit because it has a 2-speed transfer case. Boom, you get slower speed, more torque to the wheels. And what happens when I hit this button? It opens up and gives me a decent amount of room. It's actually quite good. I have a little bit more than my iPhone in terms of height. I do have an SD card that I can plug in here, as well as 2 full USBs, not USB-Cs, USBs. These seats, I wish they were not better quality because the quality is good, but I would like it to be different. This doesn't differentiate itself any way, these seats. They're pretty much the same as most AMG seats out there. I wish it screamed G-Wagon. I wish we had some sort of crest on the headrest. They're comfortable, no complaints on the seats. I just wish for this money they would sort of step it up a little bit more, especially for this price point. But hey, I guess you get a ton of suede, and a single sunroof. Back seat of the G63. Let me show you how these seats fold down. It's exactly like a Range Rover. This seat has to go forward like this. I pull this little handle and voila, the seats go forward. And then this backrest folds down, and that's done by pulling this handle. Now, folds very, very flat. There is that lip here that you saw in the back, but I will say what's weird about it is that if this is an off-roading vehicle, one that you can sort of take through any terrain all the time, shouldn't you be able to camp in the back or sleep in the back? Because really that's what you're going to do when you use a vehicle like this, but you can't because of this different load floor heights. I find that really weird and something maybe they should change. I do appreciate that the fact that they sit higher, these seats like just sort of have this stadium seating style design. But I still think that you should have a flat floor. That's just my opinion. Now, getting into the back, very easy. Put my hand here, jump into it, and then how does it feel? Very high. These have to go up, and these do move backwards and forwards, so they can be adjusted for your head. Of course, this is a premium vehicle, so I expect to have lots of room over here. Pretty straightforward stuff. I do have climate control in the back, and I pull this down. I do have 5-volt USB, not a USB-C, a USB. I do have heated seats here and heated seats here. They are 3 increments. I do have, of course, being able to put my window down. There is no sort of, one of those little visor things or blockers. Lots of suede and no sunroof, which is kind of odd, but it is what it is, I guess. Yeah, very comfortable though. I sit very high. That's one thing, I sit very high. I feel good back here. Strange, but I feel good. Look how much room you have in the door pocket. You can easily fit 1, 2, 3 bottles of water or 2 bottles of water and some snacks. Lots of room in this door pocket. So let's measure how much space we have in the G-Wagon. This one has a ton of headroom, so I'm interested to see what it can do. As far as depth goes, well, check this out. You actually have a ledge in the back. That ledge cannot be moved, so you only have about 29.5 inches as far as depth goes. As far as width goes, well, let's see what that looks like. That looks like 40 inches wide. And height, this is going to be an interesting one. This is really, really high. Let's do some experimenting here. We've got 44 inches of height. This has a lot of suede. Look at this suede headliner. There's a ton of this. Okay, so let me tell you about this truck, SUV, whatever you'd like to call it. Because technically it is a truck because it is a frame. They build a frame ladder system and then they put a body on top of it. This is very, very, very similar to an older generation Range Rover. So if you love that like Range Rover box shape, that is like this. This is definitely faster. This definitely feels a little bit lighter. The suspension is better, but it is newer. This garners a ton of attention. If you are an attention, then this is the vehicle for you. If you like eyeball staring at all times, this is what you have to buy. Always. It's so attention attracting. That's not even English, but this thing is like, it's not particularly comfortable. Like, it's fair, but it's, rugged, heavy duty, off-roadish. So it's not going to be super luxurious, and it does pitch heavy when I hit the brakes. Like, this thing goes whoop, and when I hit the gas it goes whoop, whoop. It does one of these. So you're really pitching forward and backwards at like crazy. So on the brakes, on the gas. So like, look, my body's just like, sounds mean though. I love when you look through the side of the front tires, you can see the mandrel bend exhaust come down. That stuff is just priceless. I love it. Well, I mean, technically it's not priceless because it does cost almost 300K Canadian or 200K US. So it's not priceless, but if you had to put a price on it, then I guess it would be priced, but it's priceless. But what about fuel? How bad is this on fuel? Would it be as bad as any other 4-liter that's twin turbocharged with a heavy foot? It's just gonna suck on gas, but it does have cylinder deactivation for those times that you are in maybe comfort like I am gonna be right now, just so we can talk and hear me without me yelling. Is it quiet? It's a G63, it's not supposed to be quiet. You gotta hear it. Thumbs up. It's still a V8. They haven't put a 4-banger in it. Thumbs up, they're never going to do that. Is it a mob vehicle? 100%. Anybody that's in the mob needs to have one of these things. This is as mob-like as possible, especially in this cool matte black. Dope. I love flat windshields. They don't give me a headache. Like some of the ones that are really pitched, they actually give you a headache because it does adjust the way the light comes in and hits your brain. But this is flat. What about top speeds? Well, if you get the G550, you are limited to 130 miles an hour. And this G63 is capped at 174 miles an hour, which is a ton of wind resistance. Like a ton of wind resistance. 174 miles an hour in this brick? Whew. That's crazy. So the one odd thing at this price point, you'd think you'd have better lane assist. Now, when you go towards a lane, it doesn't put you back in. It actually just hits the brakes. It hits the brakes and it just like, it just hits the brakes. It's the oddest thing. It doesn't turn you back in. It just like brakes on the brakes. You're like, okay, thanks for letting me know, J-Wagon. So let's talk about it from a consumer's perspective. You get to write it off, you get attention, and it holds value. 3 things that are important when you look in buying a car, because guess what? Cars don't hold value, but this thing does. So that's kind of cool. What about from a driver's perspective? Well, steering, pretty straightforward. Interior, kind of old in some spaces, but it's still modern enough that if you had something older or an older G-Wagon, this would feel like an upgrade for you. Drivability, great visibility all the way around. You've got lots of windows. It is a box, so of course it's probably the best thing to drive when you're in the city. Sitting on the highway all day long, obviously probably not the best vehicle. I would not be driving this all day long. I'd probably buy something cheaper or maybe an S-Class if you wanted to spend this kind of money. However, the S-Classes don't hold value. This does. So maybe it may make sense. Also, this is a very versatile vehicle. You can drive it pretty much anywhere. It will go anywhere and goes to any event. Looks good there. Goes to any off-roading event. It looks good there. So thumbs up for the G-Wagon. The only bad thing one can say about a G-Wagon is that you're snotty and you're arrogant. That's probably the only bad thing anyone can say bad about a G-Wagon, and maybe the fact that it's hard to get. So for those that are in Dubai that are actually going to use the vehicle the way it was intended to be, which is body on frame, ladder construction, which means you have a frame and a body sitting on top, this thing is an off-road or an all-terrain beast. Here are some specs. It has 241 millimeters of ground clearance, a maximum inclined angle, which means on its side of 35 degrees, an approach angle of 31 degrees, a departure angle of 30 degrees, and a maximum forwarding depth of 700 millimeters. Now, the reason why it's in those terms and not for you is because this vehicle was built in Austria, and in Austria, those are the specs they use. So back to the people that are going to use their G-Wagon for the pavement. Those folks are going to probably be interested in a program called Manufaktur, which essentially means that you can pick anything you want, just like BMW's individual program, to customize your G-Wagon. And it is the most customizable vehicle you can buy, with over 1 million different choices when you pick and choose different things that they offer. Yeah, that's a lot. So you can make your G-Wagon in any way you'd like. Anyways, hope you guys like this video on this 2023 G63. Everybody on the planet that have seen me in it is like, hey, swing by. I want to jump in and I want to take a look at it because I've never driven one or sat behind the wheel of one or sat in one, period. I've always wanted to drive one. It's always had this like thing about it. Now that I've driven one, I will say, yep, on the outside, it is amazing. On the inside, it is fair. It drives exactly like how I would expect it to drive. There we go. The G-Wagon. Thanks for watching. Catch you on the next one.